Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are going to be making a video I've been thinking about for quite a long while now. I hear people on all sides of these topics saying things like, you're wasting your life playing video games, or don't you get bored sitting alone in your room all day? While there are absolutely negative facts about a sedentary game-filled day, I found that I've come out better thanks to my time playing WoW over the last 14 years. Today I'm going to go through 5 reasons why I've learned a lot from playing World of Warcraft all this time, and discuss a takeaway on how these skills I've learned have actually helped me in my day-to-day life outside the game. So let's get right into it. Number 5, how to handle challenges and arguments with maturity. If you play games at all, you'll often see what looks like kids screaming at each other. They claim this attitude is associated with trolling, quote unquote, but in reality, it's often tied to immaturity and inexperience in dealing with other human beings. Over 8 years of raid leading and 14 years of playing, I've seen all sorts of people come and go, and one thing I've always tried to do is give people the benefit of the doubt in terms of attitude. I assume that we are all level-headed human beings playing this game, but it's just simply not always the case. As many of you know, I often give people far too long of a leash, and this leads to me getting burned in the end in multiple ways. Either way, I feel over time I've learned how to handle belligerence and also how to ignore it when it threatens to upset me and others. I still have a long way to go on this one, but after being around these types of situations so frequently, I can immediately see a difference between myself and any of my IRL acquaintances in how they problem solve or handle other people who are being overly rude for what seems to be no reason. The takeaway for this one is always go above and beyond to try to be the professional one of the two. Try your best to not get frustrated and keep an open mind about who you're actually arguing with. Just don't take it personal. Once you realize that the person you're speaking with is also a human being and they may also have things that are frustrating them, you'll understand why both the situations have escalated out of control. Number 4 is worldly awareness and geography. When I was young, I knew almost nothing about anything other than the small area I lived in. We were never properly taught geography or given any reason to care about, say, Europe or even other states within the United States of America. Since I have begun playing this game, I have learned more than most about things like time zones, even within the country, international trends and quirks, and the many accents of the world. On top of this, I've made friendships with people from all over the planet, from places I probably didn't even know were actually places. Over time, I've learned more and more about countries I will simply never visit and get first-hand perspective from people who live there. It's funny to think just how different we all are, even though we all have the game in common, and it's truly a powerful thing to come to realize that people from all walks of life can come together to enjoy a single online video game, something that wasn't even possible when my parents were my age. The takeaway for this one is the world is a huge place. The people you play games with probably don't live anywhere near you, and because of this, they have a wealth of cultural knowledge you may never have access to without meeting them in this game. Have respect and interest for this, and you'll learn so much more than you ever could in a classroom. I regularly am impressed when I realize how much more I know about countries around the world than people who actively travel, just by talking with others from there. Number 3 is time management and organization around such. Thanks to how cooldowns work in World of Warcraft, I have learned to be meticulous with time management and planning ahead especially. I oftentimes find myself planning down to the minute IRL, sometimes hours in advance. Years ago, I began counting every hour sleep I would need and calculating exactly when I will wake up so I can start planning ahead for the next day too. Many of you know I am someone who values my time highly, but this is not how I was when I was young. I was often late for things or would slack off to the point of barely hitting deadlines. Thanks to our guild only rating 8 hours, I've also learned how to get the best use of every minute of my available time. The takeaway here is if you learn how to properly maximize things like pre-potion and CDs in especially dungeons, you'll be able to translate that type of planning to any activity, not just in-game. Not everyone will value the hour as heavily as I do, but the best way to improve is by watching video of how you play and see how you can improve. These types of skills work everywhere, not just in-game, but also in things like sports or even the workplace. Number 2 is a big one, leadership skills. When I was young, I found I had a passion for helping others, and oftentimes this translated into telling them what to do. My first job solidified this, and at its conclusion is when I realized I needed to create my first raiding guild. During that time, I have learned what it takes to lead and operate upwards of 30 people with different levels of interest, skill, and patience. I've learned how to lead in times where everyone's momentum and spirits are high, and I have learned to lead us past multiple times where it seems like the group would no longer be able to continue forward. I used to be impatient, aggressive, and stubborn, as I often am IRL, but over time, thanks to the guild, the people in the guild, and the game itself, I've learned how to curb each of these things and become a more receptive receptive person and raider. The takeaway here is you can always improve yourself, and step one to doing so is welcoming criticism. Once you handle this, you'll immediately improve on managing both your actions and the actions of others. People, especially in games, oftentimes require some central leadership. It's important to know when and where it's appropriate though, but it's clear to see how patience and directive can immediately improve any situation, especially in the workplace. And the greatest thing I have gained from World of Warcraft are friendships and overcoming social shortcomings. I've met some of my closest friends ever playing this game, period. I've made relationships that are 10 times stronger than most I have made IRL as well. The people I would associate with IRL are people I am forced to do so with oftentimes. So many of them are people I have little in common with other than the immediate circumstance. The people I associate with in-game though are people I have chosen to play with. So by default, these relationships have gotten greater strength than otherwise. I also have learned to overcome social awkwardness and learned to branch out and meet new people. This game has really helped me with that, and I think it's the #1 biggest impact that I could ever have gotten from it. The takeaway here is that so many people I know choose to play alone or end up bored and burnt out. I would encourage everyone listening to try to make lasting friendships with like-minded sub-communities within this game and every other game out there. Find people you enjoy playing these games with, guys, and the games themselves will transcend their own boundaries. Along the way, you might just meet one of your best friends or even your future spouse. So that's the list. What'd you think? I hope this topic is something that resonates with a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys play because you are in the moment and you think this is the most important thing you could do, or you're looking for competitive advice on certain topics, but it's important to realize that you have the rest of your life ahead of you, and if you just focus on the moment at hand, you'll never really get anything out of either the game or anything you do in life. That's the biggest thing I've really learned as a culmination of all 5 of these things. The game itself is amazing, an amazing video game, but it's really helped me mature as an adult, and actually, you know, it's probably the biggest source of learning I've ever had in anything, really. So I really appreciate all of you guys as well on YouTube. If it wasn't for the game and YouTube, I probably wouldn't still be even playing it anymore. You know, it's so engrossing to get the community involved as well. So thank you guys for all your support. I also want to say something about the topics themselves. I have a lot of examples of all of these, but I didn't want to make the video super long by including them. So if anyone would like to discuss how some of these things have helped me specifically, please just leave a comment. I'd be happy. I have at least 2 or 3 examples of how all of these things have massively impacted my life. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to hear some of your stories, some of your things that you've gotten from the game. I'd love to hear some about your friendships or social situations and everything else in between. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.